Imagine standing on a train platform in Tokyo at 6 in the morning. The air is crisp, and the station is humming with hundreds of commuters moving in silent synchronization. Down on the track, a train conductor steps onto the platform wearing spotless white gloves. He pauses, points his index finger at a signal light, and speaks aloud to an empty platform. "Signal green." He checks his watch, points again, and says, "On schedule," to an outside observer. This looks like an unnecessary quirk, yet this simple habit belongs to a system that maintains one of the safest transit networks on Earth. This raises a central question. How did an entire culture turn the mundane mechanics of daily existence into extraordinary systems of quiet efficiency? Most of us view daily routines as chores, monotonous obstacles standing between us and our actual priorities. We chase dramatic lifestyle overhauls, hoping that sheer willpower will magically organize our chaotic days. But Japanese culture relies on a subtle perspective shift. Routine is not an obstacle to living. Routine is living. Real freedom does not come from escaping structure, but from designing systems that eliminate mental friction and elevate the ordinary. Shitsuke. Step into almost any home across Japan, and you will notice a small, immediate ritual at the threshold. Shoes are removed, turned around, and lined up neatly facing the exit. This practice, tied to Shitsuke, the habituation of intentional order, is far more than household etiquette. The entryway, or genkan, serves as a physical boundary separating the noise of the outside world from the sanctuary of the home. Psychologically, this simple act taps into implementation intentions. By turning your shoes outward the moment you arrive, you eliminate decision friction for tomorrow morning. You do not need to search for footwear or navigate clutter when leaving. Your past self has already prepared the path. Picture stepping across that wooden threshold after a grueling day, leaving work stress behind in one conscious motion. To apply this, design the exit of every task to prepare the entrance for the next. Order is not about rigid tidiness. It is about eliminating future resistance. Shutokanko. High-speed bullet trains hurtle through the Japanese countryside at nearly 300 kilometers per hour, carrying millions of passengers with zero fatal operational accidents in its history. The secret behind this record is not just automation, but Shutokanko, the practice of pointing and calling. When operators physically point at a dial and speak its status aloud, they break the subconscious trance of routine. Human psychology shows that our minds naturally drift into autopilot during repetitive tasks, leaving room for silent, catastrophic errors. By engaging vision, physical movement, and auditory feedback simultaneously, pointing and calling creates a multi-sensory cognitive anchor, reducing workplace errors by up to 85%. In daily life, transit workers double-check door seals with sharp verbal calls. You can harness this mechanism by speaking critical actions aloud before stepping away, saying, "The stove is off," as you leave. Presence is not an abstract state of mind. It is an active physical habit. KATA. In a quiet tea room, a master prepares a single bowl of matcha, with movements so fluid they resemble a slow, deliberate dance. Every gesture, from the angle of the whisk to the placement of the bowl, follows a strict sequence known as kata. Culturally, kata represents standardized form, refined over centuries to remove wasteful movement. In modern psychology, this aligns directly with cognitive load theory. When the mechanical steps of a routine are standardized and ingrained into muscle memory, the brain no longer wastes executive energy deciding what step comes next. This frees up mental bandwidth for deep focus, artistic nuance, and emotional presence. Consider a traditional craftsman dipping paper frames into water thousands of times without hesitation, achieving flawless consistency through structured repetition. You can introduce kata into your life by creating fixed, repeatable sequences for your most frequent daily workflows. Constraint does not restrict human creativity. It creates the structured container that allows focus to flourish. Ubaitori. When spring arrives in Japan, the world eagerly anticipates the bloom of the cherry blossom. Yet blooming alongside them are plum, peach, and apricot trees, each unfolding on its own distinct schedule without competing for attention. This natural phenomenon is encapsulated in ubaitori, a concept derived from the kanji characters for these 4 spring trees. Culturally, it reinforces the truth that growth is entirely contextual. Psychologically, ubaitori protects against social comparison bias and status anxiety, 2 primary drivers behind modern burnout and chronic discontent. A traditional woodcarver or ceramics artisan may spend decades perfecting a single glaze technique, unbothered by external market trends or the rapid success of others. To put ubaitori into practice, evaluate your personal progress against your own historical baseline, rather than comparing your Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 10. Real growth is an internal metric, not a public race. Kodawari. Tucked away in a quiet alley of Tokyo, a coffee artisan spends over 10 minutes carefully pouring water through a cloth filter, drop by drop, for a single cup. There are no cameras, no audience, and no grand reward. Just a quiet commitment to kodawari, an uncompromising personal standard, applied to details that others might never notice. Kodawari is rooted in the belief that personal pride and dignity are reflected in the care given to invisible work. From a psychological standpoint, this shifts our focus from extrinsic rewards, like praise or money, to intrinsic motivation, which yields deeper satisfaction. You see this in a ramen chef who simmers broth for 18 hours, refining subtle flavor profiles that most casual diners will never consciously distinguish. To cultivate kodawari, choose one small, trivial task in your everyday environment and execute it to an elevated standard of quiet excellence, simply for the personal dignity of doing it well. How you handle unseen details dictates how you approach everything else. Satoshi. Every afternoon, before the final bell rings, in Japanese public schools, students put away their textbooks, put on cleaning bandanas, and grab brooms. Together with their teachers, they scrub floors, wipe windows, and clean their own classrooms. This practice, known as seitoshi, frames cleaning not as a punishment or domestic chore, but as a collective reset ritual that maintains social and physical harmony. Psychologically, clutter and environmental chaos overload the visual cortex, subtly raising stress levels and scattering focus. Instead of waiting for mess to accumulate into an overwhelming weekend project, Japanese systems build continuous micro-resets into the daily schedule. A clear example is the 7-minute cleaning crew that transforms high-speed trains at terminal stations into immaculate spaces before new passengers board. You can apply this by establishing a brief 5-minute shutdown sequence at the end of every workday to reset your workspace. Cleanliness is not merely maintenance. It is active preparation for your next cycle. The microarchitecture of daily living. When we step back and view these systems together, a larger truth becomes clear. We often search for dramatic lifestyle revolutions, massive productivity frameworks, or sweeping life overhauls to fix our daily fatigue. But Japan offers a far simpler, more sustainable insight. Extraordinary systems are built from ordinary routines, treated with quiet respect. Transformation does not require reinventing your entire existence overnight. It requires looking at the mundane, repetitive touchpoints of your day, your threshold, your workspace, your tools, and designing microarchitectures that honor your time and attention. When you remove friction from the small moments, the large goals begin to take care of themselves. Returning to System 1, to bring this full circle, let us return to System 1 and the simple habit of turning your shoes at the entranceway. Tonight, when you step through your front door and return home, do not just kick off your shoes and rush toward the evening. Pause for 3 seconds. Turn your footwear around so it faces the door, ready for tomorrow's journey. In that single, quiet movement, you are doing far more than organizing a room. You are signaling to your mind that your home is a sanctuary, that your future self matters, and that peace begins with intentionality. By transforming these small, invisible routines into systems of care, you stop rushing through life to get to the important parts, and realize that the quiet routine beneath your feet was the destination all along.